about Seneca Village?
Let's talk
what
about
any
Black
of these
Wall Street.
communities?
Let's talk about Black Wall Street. Are we on the same page of what happened in the Tulsa riots?
Well,
Tulsa race war?
It depends. What do you think happened?
Well, I know what happened. There was a conflict between black and white people. There was a fight between the two. White people got the best of black people in Tulsa.
Brandon Tatum, you owe black people an apology because you are a hypocrite. Not because of your racist views, but because you stand up for the Constitution.
Show me a place in the world that's more equitable and fairer than the United States of America. Show me a document in which you want to be underneath that is not the Constitution of the United States of America.
So let's go back and look at Tulsa, Oklahoma. Let's see where Tulsa, Oklahoma started from. Yes, Tulsa, Oklahoma did start because there was an alleged outcry of sexual misconduct.
Conflict.
Yes.
It was a conflict between a black man, I believe it was a black man.
It started when a black man was accused of lynching,
No,
or not
it
lynching,
was
was
not
accused
lynching.
of raping a woman. And then because of that, there was this
The
anger and a
inappropriate behavior
mob started.
inappropriate behavior with a woman. There was a conflict that occurred. The first shots rang out from black people, shooting and killing several white people.
A white lady did run from the elevator, alleging or claiming that a black man raped her. The black man was arrested, but because of the 14th Amendment, states cannot deprive a person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So white people during this time was coming to violate that young black man's 14th Amendment. And black people came to stand up for that black man's 14th Amendment. He should not be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law. So there was a standoff that took place. But black people was there in the right because this man's 14th Amendment was being violated. Also, there's a major historical example with Moore versus Dempsey in 1923. The Supreme Court held that criminal proceedings dominated by lynch mob atmospheres could violate the 14th Amendment guarantee of due process. So in principle, the crowd thinks he did it is not substitution for due process. So this man's constitutional rights was being violated. Black people. Yes, a fight happened. A white man did get killed. Shots was fired. Black people got killed and white people got killed. Then you said you cannot call it a massacre.
A Tulsa massacre. Now, I did a little research. I watched a couple videos of people explaining it from a historical perspective. I did a little bit of research reading about the facts and circumstances surrounding the Tulsa massacre that it is today. It was a race riot before, I don't know, 2018. They turned in, these black activists and scholars turned it into the massacre of Tulsa.
Here is the definition of a massacre. A massacre is the deliberate killing of many people, especially people who are defenseless or unable to effectively resist. So, white people came back with more white people that outnumbered the members of Tulsa, Oklahoma. In fact, you said
How many
And
white
that's
people were killed?
like a low
How many white people were
estimate.
killed?
300 black people to 26 white people. So, there was an estimate of $1.5 million in real estate property destroyed, $750,000 in personal property, about $2.25 million in 1921. That would have been around $31 million in 2017. There was 1,256 homes burned, 250 homes looted, 191 businesses. And you still want to stick up for the white man? You still want to stick up for the white man? Brandon Tatum, did you know in your own hometown, there's a building going down toward the Trinity River that the Ku Klux Klan met in?
Fort Worth, if you've ever driven down North Main Street, right here before it hits the Trinity River going downtown, you've passed this scary looking 4-story building right here on Main Street. It comes off as just an old abandoned warehouse. But 100 years ago, this structure right here behind me was built to be a monument for terror. Constructed in 1924, this was the official headquarters for the Ku Klux Klan, Clavern number 101. It wasn't hidden, it was right here in the open, on an open street so that everybody could see it going to work. It featured a massive 2,000-seat auditorium designed to intimidate Black, Hispanic, Catholic, and Jewish workers on their daily commute downtown. As the Klan collapsed, the city tried to shut this building down. The seats were torn out, it became a commercial pecan factory, and by the 2000s it was left to rot and graffiti. But to understand the true shadow over this place, you have to understand what took place just 3 years prior. It was December 1921. A massive strike crippled the Fort Worth stockyards. Systematically barred from joining unions, non-union Black laborers had no choice. Men like Fred Rouse, a Black butcher and father, were forced to cross picket lines just to keep food on the table. On December 6th, a violent mob ambushed Roos outside the Swift packing house, beating and stabbing him. Miraculously, he survived. He was rushed to the basement ward of the city's hospital, but his nightmare wasn't over yet. 5 nights later, an armed mob stormed the hospital, dragged Rouse out of his bed, and drove him to Samuels Avenue. There, under the cover of darkness, they lynched him from a blackberry tree. Fred Rouse became the only recorded African-American lynching victim in Tarrant County history.
And you still cupcaking for the white man? Not justice, but for the white man. For the racist white man. Not the white man, for the racist white man. Brandon Tatum, if you're a man, you will issue an apology.